Hello everyone and welcome to the video. My name is Simon Keenitz Kincaid. I'm one of the co-directors of the short film Drama Mama, which was released by Karen Twins Productions in 2021. I'm here today to just talk to you about one of my favorite scenes from the film. We're going to watch it together. I'll talk a little bit about the production and what went into it and also why I like it. So let's get into it. Pull it up here. The scene we're going to watch is a scene between Poppy, the main character, and Ivy, her roommate. It's pretty early in the film. Poppy has just had this realization that she hasn't got her period and is worried that she's pregnant and is sort of starting down this path of like panicking. And it's the first time we see her interact with someone else, this scene with Ivy, and Ivy kind of comes in. They have this banter, this back and forth. Ivy's sort of trying to ground her, tell her not to worry, and Poppy is not so sure. And I just think it's a really funny scene, but also a very heartfelt scene. And yeah, so that's the context if you haven't seen the film yet, but I'm going to take a look now. I love this opening shot. It's just
Poppy, you
very
shouldn't
funny
fuck
to
with
me,
those
going from the
laxatives.
doorknob to her face.
Listen, I
And
need
the
to get
sound
ready.
effects, of course.
Let me in.
And it shows you so much about the relationship that she's just going to come into the bathroom while
Jesus.
Poppy's in the middle
It
of
smells like sophomore year in here.
laxatives.
Ivy, my roommate. Her laxatives, too.
The shot was so
She
hard
used
to
to
get
live in
right there. I was
Echo
in the
Fence,
corner
first
all the way in the
in
bottom
college.
of the bathroom like this,
But I
trying to
mean,
get that shot
she
with
looks
both of them in
amazing.
it.
Always spreading my shit.
Literally.
Hey, come out with me tonight.
I can't.
Come on. Those pills are fast acting, but they don't last long.
Do you still have those pregnancy tests?
You're so melodramatic.
Can I have
I don't have them.
You're such a fucking slut.
They expired, bitch.
The dialogue, like the fast-paced banter in the scene is
Sure, it's
also really
nothing.
good. I've always loved
Okay,
it.
just
Shout out to Emily
come out
for
with me.
writing a good
To go to the
scene.
pharmacy.
She's very good at
I
writing
have to call
dialogue.
Craig.
Yeah, have him fuck it out of you. Great idea.
If I'm already 2 weeks late and I don't get it by 2 a.m. tonight, then I'm officially fucked.
Hey, come here. It's nothing.
I've always loved the the costume contrast
Yes, it
when they
is.
hug each other too, and
It
leopard
is.
pajamas for one, and then like the cute
Okay.
going out shirt for the other one. It's a good way of showing the contrast in these characters. And then we have this very heartfelt moment at the end of the scene where they hug and the score kind of gives us something nice.
Fucking
But
what?
then we go back to sort of that sharp cynicism that's in most of the piece. And I think that was always something that we tried to find the balance of is, okay, we're going to have a heartfelt moment and then we're going to undercut it with sort of sassiness. And that was just the pattern that we repeated basically for the entirety of the film. So I think the reason I like that scene a lot is a couple things. You know, like I said, it's the first time we've seen Poppy interact with someone else, and that character of Ivy and their relationship is so important as a grounding factor for Poppy. You know, I think almost when we're in the scenes with Poppy and Ivy, we go out a little bit from Poppy's point of view, which is most of the film is very up close and we're seeing what she sees. We're inside her head. She's giving us all of her weird, messy thoughts, and we're seeing her as she sees herself. And then once we go out to Ivy and Poppy, we sort of see her a little bit more as Ivy sees her, and it anchors us in the real world a little bit more, and it also provides a nice contrast between that and the scenes where Poppy is just really isolated and in her head and kind of spiraling. I also, again, like I mentioned, the dialogue is so great, but I also think, and funny, but it also really tells you so much about the relationship between those two characters. You know, I know when Emily was writing this film, one of her big influences was Fleabag. And so when we were going to make it, we kind of were like, okay, we're going to do our own version of that show. This is our own take on that in terms of the tone. And part of that is showing this relationship between these two women that is, you know, they're kind of mean to each other and it's very competitive, but underneath it, that's sort of their way of communicating, hey, I care about you. And I think that this whole scene, basically they're calling each other stupid in different ways essentially the whole time, but underneath that the subtext is, hey, like, are you all right? And that, hey, it's all going to be okay. So then when you get the hug at the end, it's sort of that armor has finally been taken off, and it's the love that these two characters clearly have, the closeness coming to the surface. I'm also really proud of how many different angles, how many shots we were able to get out of this tiny bathroom that we spend most of the film in. It was such a challenge to just fit everyone in there, and then also come up with angles that told the story and not reuse the same shots too many times, and make sure they all look decent. And that was a lesson that we tried to take from this experience. We were like, oh God, shooting in bathrooms, it's like terrible. It's so cramped and sweaty and gross, and we're not going to do that anymore. And then, Emily and I have kept making things, and we keep including scenes with bathrooms in them because it's such an intimate place to be with the character, and we think that's interesting, but then we're always like, oh God, why do we do this to ourselves when we have to go shoot it? But I think, to toot my own horn, I think I did a good job, and we did a good job, Emily and I, finding enough angles in this scene to make it feel varied and interesting, and picking out different shots for different beats depending on how we wanted them to feel. And I think we found enough to make it watchable at the very least. The scene in the whole film, I think, is incredibly watchable, very watchable. I hope you watch it and check it out in full if you haven't yet. And thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it here at Karen Twins. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Karen Twins YouTube channel, because we have some very exciting new content coming soon. So take care in the meantime.